Hi, Jason. I'm so glad we could talk today. Thanks so much.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for making the time.
It's honestly, it's a beautiful film. It's always easy to make the time when the film is good.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate. So,
No, it really is. It's the film is beautiful, and I thank you for the chance to chat with you. I'm just wondering, what was it that excited you to tell this story?
I think that excitement came from when I was a that excitement came from when I read Gorman's script for the first time, and I realized that back in 2013, that this is an excellent script in terms of pacing and character development, and visually it was very compelling. Um, and what I was wondering, like, why isn't Gorman picked up, snapped up by some company already? I was beside myself, and so I knew that I wanted to work with him, and it was just trying to find a way to make the film happen in the Canadian landscape, which can be tricky. And it's, a lot of it is based on personal stories and things like that. So I was trying to find a way um, to put myself into the story without not overpowering Gorman, like, making sure that I preserve his voice, and it has been preserved. So.
I'm so glad to hear that because these characters, the story, it works on any number of levels, and it's fascinating to see it come together. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too is this idea of the dream. That is such a key theme within this particular film. But what's interesting about this, we see it from a number of levels. You know, we see it from Jake's perspective. We see it from his sisters, his parents, and even his girlfriend as well. I was just wondering, from your perspective, do
Mhm.
you think there's a certain danger to this idea of the dream when it comes face to face with reality?
um I think Um, I think all of us have dreams when we were young of what we want to be, and reality shapes how we pursue our dreams, or perhaps how we change them. Um, and I think that um, let's just face it. I mean, reality is harsh, and there's always not enough time, money, resources, or support to pursue your dreams. And um, I think that there's, especially with underrepresented people or marginalized people, that we have to fight a stigma, or a uh, or yeah, we have to fight a stigma of being worthy, being serious, being successful in society, because we're not the majority. And so the imagery that is around us, is, does not support um us pursuing big dreams. um I so I think that, so when it comes down to it, I think it's really important to make um, stories and films and material that show what people are capable of doing. Because when we're young and we see this, we know what's possible. Without this kind of imagery, we our dreams become muddled. We just don't know, until someone tells us, yeah, why don't you consider being prime minister or president, or an astronaut, so, or director as well. For the longest time, I didn't think that I could be a director. I could only do something science based in the arts, because it was science based. It was black and white. It was concrete, right? A career in the arts was never really um, uh, encouraged, because it was so abstract, and making money is secondary, and unknown. So anyway, so that's just the kind of like the reality, how reality and dreams collide, and the importance of seeing dreams fulfilled in movies and in stories, because it just um it helps us create a better reality for ourselves.
Yeah, I love that you say that because that's something what we see in this film is we see that relationship with Jake and his sister and their parents. And at one point, Jake, I think it's Jake that says, "Do you know what your dreams have done to me?" And it's this idea of forcing dreams upon the next generation as opposed to empowering them to follow it in there. And I think that's so. This idea of encouraging and saying, "Find it," is, I think, so beautiful, especially with representation and what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I come from I'm a first generation immigrant, and I know that I know a lot of people who immigrate to another country. They put their dreams on hold for a better life. Um, and so, how they pursue their dreams is through their children.
Mm.
Um, and sometimes that's unfair for the child, because they get wrapped up in these expectations that they have no say in it. Like they were brought to another country without any say, or they were born into another country and suddenly their parents are pushing them to do something that they don't want to do, because the parents didn't have an opportunity to do it, because you know they were persecuted, or they just didn't have the opportunity back in their own country, and now they do, and they're running out of time, and so the best way forward is to do it through their children. And yeah, it just creates a lot of unnecessary uh, unhappiness and anxiety, and uh yeah, just I think unhappiness is the best thing. Like, just there's parents don't realize how overbearing they can be. Immigrant parents especially, Jesus.
Well, and we see a little bit of that here with their parents. Without saying too much, I mean, certainly they're carrying these burdens from their past with their kids, and the kids don't really understand what their motivations, because all they hear is the "don't do this," and "this is not what you if you want to do this, you have to do." Well, I don't know if I want to do that. It's these tensions. I love these tensions within the film are just so beautiful. Um, One other thing I thought was so interesting about. Oh, sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say, do you just a more personal question? Do you have kids yourself, or
I do. I have an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old, and they don't know yet that I know best for them. No, I'm kidding. No, absolutely. As a parent myself, I mean, I see that this struggle of, well, no, 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 but I do know, but we really don't, because, and this was one of the things I thought was interesting too, is it's told so much from Jake's perspective, and the world for them is so different. Um, even from just generationally, it's just different. And one of the things that really jumps out at me with this particular film is the image, the idea of the image. With their he says something out of line, it ends up on the internet. If there's an argument at a party, it's videotaped, it's videoed and thrown off. And he just and there's this beautiful scene where Jake just he they're looking for Jake and they can't find him because he hasn't posted on Instagram or whatever social he's using. And his sister says he just wants privacy. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is for Jake, he's on this journey of finding himself. Do you think it's harder to find yourself in this online world?
yes, it's definitely harder. I get questions in the Q&A from from older queer saying, why is it harder to come out today? Why is it harder to find yourself? You have all these options available, resources, tutorials, even, right? And and then, that's where that's where I inform them that, just because you have all this information doesn't mean that you know what to do with it. And it's overwhelming to have all these access points. You have to make a choice. It has to be the right choice. There's no room for error. Um, what else is there? Every single thought, decision, comment is scrutinized. Are you woke? Are you not? What do you stand for? It's just it's anxiety inducing. And if for a young person, if they are just exploring something, there is very little room for exploration and very little room for forgiveness, especially in today's climate. Or So there's that aspect, right? And then there's the other feeling, or obligation, that one has to constantly be posting about things in order to stay relevant, right? In order to be seen. So um so people's business, or people, basically anything that is dramatic or worth posting is posted, to draw to remain connected, to draw attention to oneself and be relevant. So there's that dichotomy of trying to manage all that, right? And sometimes you make mistakes. You do post inappropriate things, right? And then you realize you shouldn't do that. But it you know yeah so I think parents need to be more empathetic, and people in general need to be more empathetic and forgiving, and give permission for failure, um because you can say something that is out of line, and that's okay. Yeah, so you don't have to be chastised, banned, blocked, all the things which I think it's so extreme, like, you know what I mean. um uh so that's what a lot of young people are dealing with, and I think the older generation, they don't appreciate that. Sometimes they gloss over it in their storytelling, because it's just too much to work out. And I think I think if you're making a film geared towards youth, it's really important to address these elements or integrate them into your story, instead of just dismissing them as some sort of plot device. So that's my opinion on
Yeah.
that.
No, I agree 100%. Like that, and that's the thing. Like this is your style of filmmaking. It's just part of the reality. That's while you've got these person to person stories going on. Like there's a sense of dread. Like I said in the argument scene, when those little cell phone lights go up, my heart breaks. My heart breaks, um, and it seems like every generation that gets older says, I know, and I see this with the parents in this film. I know what it's like, but we don't understand what it's like, without this idea of listening to each other and growing together and hearing their experience. And I think that's such a beautiful aspect, incorporated in this story, because there's a lot of pressures that my kids, I tell my kids about my phone, and I'm talking about rotary dial, and they don't know growing up.
Yeah.
And they just I don't even understand that. They have no frame of reference. But no, I absolutely hear what you're saying. Um,
Yeah, I was just going to say that the when the younger generation watches this, the two reactions that I typically get is they either laugh, because they get it, um, or they cry because it reminds them of some sort of traumatic event that they experience, and now it is out there, right? That and they can talk about it. Like the cyberbullying, for example, it it gives permission for some challenging things to talk about, once it's being shown, right? So those are the two main responses that I get from younger audiences: laughter, or it triggers them. So
Yeah.
and then yeah, parents, the parents are they're more empathetic as a result of what they see. So that's good. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, trying to get the film out to a younger audience, younger group is challenging with the fragmented landscape today. Yeah, getting getting them to just commit to more than 2 minutes is hard.
Well, that's it. You could just release it in TikTok videos, and there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I haven't figured out TikTok yet, so that's my next movie. I'll try to figure that out.
No, it's a beautiful film, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm just wondering, as we wrap up, what is it that you hope audiences take away from Golden Delicious?
Uh, I I hope that that people can be more empathetic, like I mentioned, and that some challenging things can be talked about in the open, such as why is there such a intense hatred, or what's it called, animosity towards queer kids, towards someone who is questioning or trans. Like I just don't understand why some groups of people um feel threatened by by someone just talking about sexuality. um it this is one of the reasons why toxic masculinity continues to exist,
Mm.
because you have these because you have these projections of who to be and what to do based on like outdated values. And like, yeah, just I just hope people will be more open by seeing the film, and they can see they can understand what younger audiences are going through. So that's my hope.
I really do appreciate that, and certainly I hope a film like this helps starting those conversations about certainly in creating dialogue about LGBTQ community as well, and an openness and love, especially for the younger generation as they come along. Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your thoughtful questions and connection. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.